My fiancée cringed when I called her Mrs. my last name, then said our kids will only have her name. She wants to keep her name, I keep mine, and that's final. Now I'm wondering if I should even go through with the wedding. My fiancée is 27 and I am 28, and a few weeks ago, we're talking about our wedding, which is scheduled for June of next year, and our honeymoon. At one point, I jokingly said something to the effect of, "We'll see about that, future Mrs.," and then said my last name, and she visibly cringed. She told me she isn't going to be Mrs., my last name, and I said, "Okay, then I'll be Mr., her last name, because I don't really care if she takes my name or I take hers. I just want to share one." She said, "No, I'm keeping my name and you can keep yours." I asked who our future kids will be named after. She said her because she's the mother, so I'd be the odd one out. She's also opposed to hyphenating. She's adamant we should each keep our own last names and any future kids will only have hers. For context, I grew up in foster care after both my parents passed. I didn't have any other biological family, so I was bounced around from home to home from the ages of 5 to 18. When I aged out, I never felt welcome in any of those foster homes and never felt like I had a real family. I always swore I'd have a real family one day, though. So naturally, I want to share a last name with my wife and our kids. I truly don't care what name, mine or hers, or a new one we both choose. It doesn't matter to me. I just want a real family that I feel connected to. We've been dating for 3 years and engaged for almost 5 months, and this is the first time she said she doesn't want to share a name. Previously, she never said anything when I called her the future Mrs., my last name. So either this is new or she's been holding it in. I've tried to talk to her about why she doesn't want either of us to change our last name, but she doesn't want to discuss it further, and I'm at a loss as to what to do. Would it be an overreaction to break up over this, since she won't talk to me about her reasons? She's acting like everything is normal, so I don't know what to think. Best comments. Why is she so opposed to it? Has she said, "It's something very important to you"? Is it important enough that it could end a relationship that would otherwise be headed to marriage? I don't think you're overreacting at all. Your feelings are completely valid. She may not want to talk about it anymore, but she's going to have to if she wants the relationship to work. In the end, only you know what your deal breakers are. She won't tell me. When I ask, she says she won't discuss it further and stops speaking unless I change the subject. What did that interaction look like the last time it happened? She said she didn't want to discuss it and walked away. This is more concerning than the original problem. She can choose not to take your name, but she can't unilaterally choose to tell you that you can't take her name. And she can't unilaterally decide about the kids either. The next time she walks away, ask her to set a time when she will be ready to talk about it. If she is unwilling to do so, then start playing the same game about any wedding planning. Tell her you don't want to set a date until you resolve the issue with you being excluded from the family. Tell her you'd like to change her name and why. She may not realize the reason for it, and may be projecting her desire to maintain her name on you. If she can't hear you and understand how hurt you are, I'd be second-guessing too. Since you aren't imposing a change on her, it's worth a discussion. She knows why. She knows all about my past. Update number 1. This post got a lot more comments than I expected. Thank you to all who replied or sent PMs, except those who call me a misogynist for even suggesting she change her name. I've decided to try to have one more serious conversation with her about my thoughts on the subject. I've packed a box with all the things she's left in my house, so if it doesn't go well, I'll return her belongings and end things. We're meeting at a park, and I have a good friend who's going to stay nearby, but unseen, just in case things go south. If for no other reason than to have a witness that I tried everything I could to talk things out. Update number 2, 2 days after the first post. Here's an update to my post from yesterday. I'm still processing everything, so I may not reply to comments right away. We met up at a park today. I asked her late last night if she could meet me to talk about something, and she immediately agreed because it seems she thought it was about the wedding. My friend was with me, but waited in my car so he wouldn't be spotted. But I did decide to turn on the voice recorder on my phone because in the past, she's manipulated her telling of certain situations to make it seem like she's blameless. I overlooked it before because I thought she was just used to getting her way. Now I realize that was a mistake on my part. So I got there early and walked around for a few minutes before meeting up with her in a picnic area. I asked her to sit down with me because I needed to ask her some very important questions about her future. I told her I needed answers, and I needed her to give me enough respect as a human to not walk away when I'm trying to talk. I started by explaining again how I've never felt like I was part of a real family, and not since I lost my parents anyway, and how important it is to me that I feel that connection to my wife and kids. It may seem like a small thing to most, but to me it's huge. I've lived most of my life feeling like I'm completely alone. She told me she knows how hard my life has been, and now I have her, so I'm not alone anymore. Then I asked her if she could please explain to me exactly why she is so vehemently against us having the same last name. If she acknowledges that she knows how important it is to me that I share a name with my wife and kids, so I feel like I'm in a real family and not an outsider. I reminded her that I don't expect her to take my name, and I'm more than willing to take hers, hyphenate, or come up with something completely different. I just want to share a name with my wife and kids, so we're all one family unit. Her response to that was surprising. She rolled her eyes and told me it's so cringy when people have the same last name after they get married. That was her sole reason for us not sharing a name. I asked her to elaborate on that. She went into a whole rant about how she thinks it's cheesy when she meets a couple and they introduce themselves as the Smiths or the Campbells, and that it makes her want to throw up when she hears it, and so many other ways it makes her angry. When I brought up the fact that her parents have the same last name because they're married, she said that's different and I wouldn't understand because of being an orphan, which really threw me. Long story short, I let her know that I need some time to myself to really think things over and decide how I want to move forward. I asked her to give me time, and I would let her know when I'm ready to talk. She didn't like hearing that, but I told her I needed to leave. So now I'm at home, thinking about everything and wondering how to move on. I know the relationship is over, but I haven't made the breakup official yet. It's going to hurt for a long time, but I know what I need to do for my own mental health. I can compromise on some things, but I can't be with someone who won't also compromise. Her belongings are still packed up, and my friend has offered to drop them off once I end things with her. Luckily, I live in a gated condo community, so once I take her name off the approved visitors list, she won't be able to come to my house. I know she won't react well when I tell her we're over. That's all. I'm going to take some time for myself and try to get over everything. Ending an engagement is tough, and I don't wish this heartbreak on anyone. Thanks for the support from all your strangers out there. Best comments. Seriously, I'd say she doesn't deserve a discussion for the breakup. Write a letter, put it in her box of crap, and have the friend leave it at her door. Unless the ring is an heirloom and you want it back, of course. In that case, make sure you get it away from the witch. And she still doesn't make sense anyway, because how are her parents, a married couple sharing the same last name, any different than any other married couple sharing the same last name? OP should let them know apparently their daughter thinks they're the only married people out there who aren't cringy for doing what most married couples do. There is literally no logic to her argument, just some odd sentimental past for her parents, but no one else. She has no empathy for her fiancé whatsoever. Update number 3, 6 days after the last update. This will be the final update, I hope, to my relationship issue. A lot of people asked for a resolution, so I thought I'd give one to those interested. I want to work on Monday, and my boss could tell I was depressed, so she asked me what was going on. I explained everything I had on my mind and the conversation I had to have over the weekend. She asked me if I wanted a distraction from everything and offered to have me accompany her and her husband, co-owners of the company I work for, on a short trip to meet with some potential clients. I would be working on the project anyway, so she thought it might be good to have me in the meetings, especially if I needed to get out of town. So early Tuesday morning, the three of us left for the meetings. We were busy all afternoon and part of the evening, so I wasn't checking my personal cell. At 10 p.m., I saw that I had a lot of missed calls and texts from my fiancée. By a lot, I mean over 50 texts and 19 missed calls since that morning. It seems she went to my condo, and when security wouldn't let her in, since I took her off my list of approved visitors, she flipped out. So she started calling and texting me. Then she started trying to contact our mutual friends and her family, none of whom knew where I was either. Her last-ditch effort to get me to answer her was to threaten to call the police and say she hadn't seen me in days and was worried I will self-delete. And when I didn't answer right away, she went through with that plan. The police were allowed to enter the condo community, and when I didn't answer my door, they couldn't do anything else and left. This didn't please my fiancée, and she kept calling and texting. When I saw the calls and messages, I sent one text in reply that only said, "I'm on a work trip until Thursday. Please respect my need for time to think about everything. We will talk when I get home." Then I ignored everything from her for the rest of the week while I was away. Fast forward to Thursday evening, we land back in the city, and I drove home, wanted to go to bed and sleep in the next day since I was given the day off. I guess she was lurking nearby, because I was told later she tried to follow me into the gate but was stopped by security since she never scanned a parking pass. That's when she started blowing up my phone again. I texted back one more time to tell her to give me space and we would talk later, then showered and went to sleep. By Friday morning, I had 73 more texts and 32 missed calls. At that point, I knew I had to just end things with her sooner rather than later so I could get some peace. Long story made short, as of yesterday afternoon, I've ended the engagement. I took the same friend who was nearby last weekend, so I'd have a witness in case she did anything. She refuses to give the ring back because she thinks I'll come to my senses soon and she'll keep it until then. I don't even care. She can have it. Her friends and family started calling me within 15 minutes of me ending things. I blocked them all since they're being nasty to me and blaming me for it all. Judging by what they're saying, it seems like she made up a story about me having a mental health crisis and wanting to be alone. Again, I don't even care. My good friends were told what happened when my friend sent out a text with a brief explanation. I hope she leaves me alone so I can heal from everything over time. I'm just so emotionally exhausted. Best comments. You've been more than reasonable with her on this issue. You even offered to take her name if she didn't want yours. You thoroughly explained why sharing a name was very important to you. She instead chose to ignore all of that and drew her line in the sand. I don't know what she was expecting. Honestly, it sounds like you dodged a bullet if you hadn't had this argument and went through with your plan for marriage. It appears she had very little, if any, respect or consideration for you. Glad you are free of her now and can finally have some peace. I think she loves having control and getting to have everything her own way far more than she ever loved Opie. A lot of commenters are saying she sounds unhinged. I agree, but I think it's more than just that. You've described before how she always has to have her way. I think the name issue was a power play on her part, because the cringe thing sounds like utter BS she made up on the spot. And now that you've broken it off with her, she lost the upper hand and now she's pissed. You definitely haven't seen or heard the last of her. She's going to get vindictive and you'll probably need a restraining order.